Welcome on Texas Football. Time for State of the Program, brought to you by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Gerry Hamilton and Rod Babers. Today, we're going to talk about two specific positions that are not the priority positions maybe some other people are talking about with offensive line and linebacker. This is going to be defensive back, the secondary, where Texas got a commitment yesterday from Bo Masco, young man out of Rutgers that Mark Orfe originally recruited to Rutgers a couple years back. That's the Texas cornerbacks coach. And running back, where the Longhorns have Raleek Brown out of Arizona State coming in this weekend. Gerry, those two positions, I want to start off with defensive back, if you don't mind. Cornerback, obviously they needed one. They get Bo Masco. All right. Now, how many safeties do they need in the context of Derek Williams returning and announcing his return to Texas yesterday? What's your take on the DB position, Rod? Then I'm going to ask you a little bit more about Masco in particular and your thoughts on the secondary as well. Gerry?
I definitely think Texas wants another safety type player in the portal. And look, you don't know how much you're going to have of Jonah Williams. He's probably going to be in baseball. Is he even going to take part in any spring football practices? Last year he did not. We'll see. He's got to be in the facility some, else he's going to fall way behind in a new scheme. But then you have some guys that, look, Xavier Filsaime had a shoulder that gave him issues all year. What will his availability truly be for spring? There are some other nagging injuries in that room, and I think there is also a need, Rod, for a playmaker on the football. You can always add playmakers on the football at safety. And because one thing you know, and Rod's going to get into this a little bit more, is Jelani McDonald in Muschamp's scheme, and he's going to be the downhill run force guy. So who's going to be that playmaker on the ball around him at that safety position in Muschamp's scheme? So I definitely think there's a need for that. I think Grayson Littleton is a nickel now. I think he might get some corner reps. I'm not going to rule it out. Could Bo Masco get some nickel reps for Muschamp? He's played it before. I think there's some interchangeable there. So I do think there's a need for one more safety.
What about corner, Gerry? You think there's another corner need if now that Bo Masco's in the boat?
I think that's potential there because, I mean, look, Caleb Chester went into the portal. He went to Arizona State, right? If somebody else jumps into the portal, then the answer is obviously yes. I think it kind of is where your roster goes because I think Cade Phillips is a solid starter. I think Warren Roberson has a chance to be a solid backup contributor under Muschamp's scheme. And obviously Bo Masco is a 2-year starter and successful one in the Big Ten. So I do think there may be a need for a depth piece, but it may also come down to who stays and who goes.
All right. Rod, you saw Masco, watched him quite a bit.
Yeah.
The corner out of Rutgers. First of all, tell us what you thought of him, and then you kind of do your assessment of the secondary and where it sits right now and what you like about it and maybe weaknesses you see.
Bo Masco, I like his overall game. I mean, he's a guy, he's aggressive as a corner, which fits their scheme. I mean, they were Rutgers probably top 15 in man coverage rate in 24 and 25. And he plays press man, which is something Texas wants to do more of, I think, with the kind of corners that they're recruiting with the type of frames they got with guys like Cade Phillips. So he actually does fit that, I think. And also, while I looked about his game, I mean, he's a guy that tackles really well. Against Ohio State, actually had 7 tackles in that game versus Ohio State. That game was interesting enough. That was his highest graded game versus a Power 4 team all season. He was the highest graded defender for Rutgers in that game. Really showed up in the Ohio State game. So that's some good film if you want to go watch him really show out and kind of put his whole full talent and skill set on display. One thing also I like about the scheme that they played as it relates to him translating to what Muschamp wants to do. Muschamp is a multiple defense. But they play a lot of man, but they also play a lot of different coverage. They had at least 5 coverages where they had at least a 10% or higher rate of usage. In Texas, I was only at 3, by the way, coverages where they played at least 10% or higher usage rate. So he'll translate in a lot of different ways, no matter what you want to do. The guy has a really, I think, well-versed and a really wide variety of skills that he can put on display in a lot of different coverages. Something else that I think that will translate for his game, he didn't really have great execution around him. He was the best player in their secondary this past season. And you go look at the overall defense. I mean, they were second to last in the country in sacks. So you put him in a scheme where you're going to apply a lot more pressure to the quarterback. I think he'll make more plays on the football too. Texas secondary, though, I like where they're at corner. Honestly, I think they're okay at corner with Bo Masco coming in. He can play the slot or he can play corner for you. So can Grayson Littleton. And then you got Cade Phillips. I'm with Jerry, though. I want a safety, and I want a safety that can play the middle field for you, middle field safety, a guy that can really have some range, sideline to sideline, especially in Muschamp scheme. I think that would be ideal because you talked about John McDonald. He's a guy you can move down, versatile, move down into the box, have him at linebacker depth at the second level. I want a safety that's comfortable in coverage, that can basically be another slot coverage player for you if needed, but also is comfortable as a rangy defender if you need him to be a middle field safety as well.
That's interesting because you talk about these guys and the kind of interchangeability of them, right, Rod? I think that's a big piece of it. I like the idea that a Rutgers player, the best player in their secondary, would be benefited by playing around more better players and at a better pass rush as well. I think that's encouraging. I think when I want to move to running back next, I think we covered the secondary well enough. But before I do that, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, the State of the Program, each and every week, brought to you by our friend Adam Lowy over at the Lowy Law Firm. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind and think you might be due compensation, please reach out to Adam and his law firm at loweylawfirm.com. They'll help you out with a free, no strings attached consultation. Again, that's Adam Lowy at Lowy Law Firm, more than 20 years of helping injured Texans. All right, running back. Texas expected to host Raleek Brown today. Young man out of Arizona State, 1,000-plus yard rusher for Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils this past year, originally signed with USC out of the Southern California area. Not a big guy. This isn't a move the pile guy, but highly effective. My question to you guys is a lot of people have already crystal balled him to Texas. I think that they could come to a decision as early as today on that. But I actually am trying to look bigger. I don't want to know just how y'all think Brown fits, but do you think he's the only one they need to take in this portal class? Do they still need another bigger back? Because when I looked at Texas going into this campaign, I really think they needed a bigger back as much as they needed kind of a specialist that could hit the home run. Rod, I'll start with you. What do you think?
I like Raleek Brown, though. That he's a guy that can be a home run hitter for you. I think that's what Sark's run game, a lot of it is what he's been missing, is the explosivity factor, right? He's had overall 31 10-plus yard runs. That was 10th best in all the Power Four. So I like that part of his game. Also, he's a really, I think, a really skilled pass catcher as well. He had 46 targets. That was also like 5th among running backs in the Power Four. Sark's scheme, he loves the running backs in the passing game, especially in the screen game. So I do think he fits there. So I like that about his game. Do you need another big back? I'd like it. But I don't know if there's another big back out there right now that's a difference maker. I think you can get a role player. But I don't know if there's necessarily a difference maker left on the board for you potentially. Now, the portal is still open, so that could change. But I think you can go find a role player. Now, I do think there's a big part of one of these young guys, either that you have on the roster now or one of these young guys coming in. His freshman class, there's a lot of hype about Derek Cooper. I know he's a really good player, and Jerry can tell you more about his skill set. But I think maybe the hope is that one of those young guys steps up for you. But none of those guys is a big back. So I don't know right now if you find a game changer as a big physical back. I think you may find a role player, somebody that can moneyball that position for you.
What do you think, Jerry? You think they're going to still wait for guys to go in the portal? How do you think Brown fits?
I think as a downhill guy, yeah, a bigger back to your point. I think because I'm not sure that guy is in the portal right now, so I think that could be a need that kind of see who else jumps in potentially to the portal. As far as Raleek Brown, I mean, look, he has the 3 Ys. To me, there's 3 Ys that you have to have if you're 5'8", 5'9", 195-pound back: shifty, nifty, and explosivity. And he definitely has all three of those. And, he's not going to run as fast to 40. He may not be as explosive the first 15 yards as Jaden Blue out of the backfield. I think he's a better runner than Jaden Blue because I think he's more shifty and his feet are more nifty. So I think he has more make you miss ability. And if you go that direction, then one of two things has to happen. All your backs that are currently on the roster have to return, and somebody has to fill that downhill role to go with him, or Derek Cooper puts on that Rod Babers body armor quickly. And he's not small. He's 6'1", 207. He's not small, but we've seen how freshman backs in the SEC can get beat up that are physical runners.
Yep.
So can he get there quick enough to be that guy out of the gate, or would he be a guy that maybe takes over a role like that in games 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 his freshman year? So that's the question for me. If everybody stays that's currently on the roster and nobody comes into the portal that really fits that role, then I think you're going to lean on Derek Cooper a lot his freshman year.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously Christian Clark, as of right now, is not re-signed with Texas. James Simon still returning as of now as we speak. But neither of those guys are that big, heavy set guy, to your point, Jerry and Rod, and what I was discussing at the earliest. How do they move the on the inside zone play? How do they really move people? And right now, we don't know that answer with what back that would be, because I don't think Raleek Brown or Christian Clark necessarily answer that. Maybe James Simon does. Maybe Derek Cooper does. But you want, at this point, and this is part of the all-in vernacular that we've used, you want to be sure of things, right? Yep. And right now, they can't be sure unless they get a guy that's done it before at the college level.
Yep.
And that's what they're going to be looking for, I think. Perhaps that guy hasn't come in the portal yet, too. You got to remember that. There's still teams playing. There's still guys trying to work out their own retention issues with their current teams. And they're still evaluating players as well. So all of that compounds to say that, look, the running back situation, even with Raleek Brown, in my opinion, if he commits to Texas today, tomorrow, or whenever, there's still a question mark around it. They still need to add one more to that room, I think. I don't want to, by the way, I don't want to fail to mention Jet Walker, also the true freshman out of Georgetown that's also signed with Texas. He's going to be a bigger back eventually in college as well, like Derek Cooper. Not sure which one will be more ready, although Cooper certainly more highly rated. Jerry and Rod, the Longhorns overall, obviously big game hunting in the portal right now.
Yeah.
Whether it's at every position, virtually, they're elite players that they're going after. That is a tough game to play because you're not competing against, Wake Forest and Baylor and, whoever for these guys. You're competing against the Ohio States, the Floridas, the Michigans, the USCs, etc. Is that the right game to play? Are they playing too much of it right now? Jerry, I'll let you say that, right, and give your feel on that.
Yeah, I felt this way about having one portal period now the whole way. It is more like NFL and NBA free agency now. It's not the first weekend felt like a 60-meter sprint, which it was, but it's actually a 200-meter sprint over 2 weeks. It's definitely not a marathon. It's a sprint. And so the question always is, how quickly do your plan B or your B guys go somewhere else? Mm-hmm. And if you have to end up having your 1A guy pushes back and pushes back and pushes back a decision, you are losing out on your top plan Bs. There is no doubt. That is the way of the world in free agency too. So you can get caught holding the bag at a position. Look, all those schools you mentioned, Bobby, a lot of them are going after the same players. They're not all going to win them all. They're not all going to lose them all. But every single one of those is going to still have a position in need they have to fill after this first full week of the portal. By Friday, by Saturday, when those weekend visits starts, there's going to be many schools that got some things accomplished and are feeling a little pressure and then to fill a position in need with a week to go in the portal window as far as guys having to go in the portal. I think there's a balance there. I like that Texas is going after the very best players, though. I do like that they're going after the very best players. The delicate balance is those plan Bs. Who else may go in the portal that could be a plan B for you? Because if those plan Bs don't end up going in the portal, it's tough. It's a tougher road.
Could be left holding back.
There's no spring.
And the crazy thing about it,
what do you think about that delicate balance, Rod?
well, and the crazy thing about it, in addition to that delicate balance, Jerry, your own retention with what was your current roster, you're still dealing with that.
Lose one late, Rod. That's a great point.
Yes, that could have been a part of your contingency plan, and then one of those guys decides, you know what, I don't like my situation. I'm going into the portal, and you're like, well, I was depending on that to be a contingency plan in case we couldn't address the need in the portal completely. And that's also, I think, something that's fragile that you're dealing with, that's constantly changing and evolving. So I'm with you. I think it's as a front office dealing for Texas and not all the programs dealing with it, you really do kind of prioritize what your needs are and what you currently have, and then weigh that against what you currently have on the roster, as Jerry said, and then build your contingency plans that way. And by the way, write them in pencil. All right, on that dry erase board, because you're going to have to change them. You go every day. Somebody jumps in the portal. You go, hey, actually, that guy, we have a need at interior line. All right, that's an interior line. And so that board, I would love to see the board because it's got to be constantly changing for them all day. I mean, until the portal actually closes, because your own guys can hit it, and then other guys can also, obviously, from other programs, come into the portal that are of need to you because they're at a position of need. So it is right now. I said it's way tougher than any professional league.
Yes, and Rod, that's a great point. It's way tougher because of that. You just said your other guys may be under contract in pro sports. You're not worried about somebody's agent calling you saying, "I'm out."
Yeah,
I mean, that can happen January 15th at 11:59 p.m. because the agent or the player sitting there saying, well, they brought in 4 running backs. They don't really care about me. School X is offering me this. Time for me to bounce. That's the Rod, that's a great point. I went delicate balance, extremely, 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 extremely delicate balance.
Yeah.
I want to say this overall. I think that you have to take big swings in recruiting. Texas isn't trying to win 8 games next year or 10 games. They're trying to win it all.
Yeah.
You got to take big swings. Big time players help you get there. So even if you miss on half of those guys and hit on 3 of them or 2 of them, more power to you, because there are levels here that are replaceable, and there are levels that are irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Some of the guys that Texas is after right now are irreplaceable. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what Texas is looking at. That's why, even if it is a delicate balance or whatever you want to say, I think you got to shoot for the stars. Shoot for the stars and maybe hit the moon. That's the reality of recruiting across the board. I mean, you think about it, that's no different than high school recruiting used to be, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, I think there are going to be so many guys in the portal, 4,000 now in the transfer portal. You're going to be able to find backfill that are reasonable players if you miss on some of these high quality guys.
Yeah.
Now, you won't be as strong as you would hope. We're hoping, but I think you're going to be able to find. That's at least that's the train of thought I think Texas is following at this point in time. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of A State of the Program on Texas Football, brought to you by our friend Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind and think you might be due compensation, make sure you reach out to Adam and his firm, LowyLawFirm.com. They've got 20 years experience of helping injured Texans. They will give you a free, no strings attached consultation. Again, that is LowyLawFirm.com. Before we let folks go, we want to say thank you to everybody that's reached out about Jordan Shipley, to his dad, Bob, one of our co-workers here at On Texas Football. From the Shipley family, Bob texted me this morning. He just wants to know thank you for the outpouring of support. He's not going to be able to talk to everybody, obviously, and the family won't. They'll continue to provide updates. But from Rod Babers and Gerry Hamilton and myself and the entire On Texas Football crew, we're wishing Jordan nothing but the absolute best in his recovery, and as it is now ongoing. All right, for you guys, for Matt Hutchison behind the scenes, and for Jordan Shipley especially, hook 'em horns, bud.
Welcome, bro.